Right, everybody, welcome to episode number 18 of the SMAC Talk podcast. We've got the big man,
Hello.
Tony McAleavey, on. He's the wider and smaller version of myself in the McAleavey family. Tony, first of all, thanks very much for coming on. Fucking super appreciate it. Like, don't think I could have a bigger celebrity on at the minute.
Dead on. You're more than welcome. I feel a wee bit nervous with the camera. I don't know where I should be looking at.
Yeah, the views over here.
It's like a porno set or something.
Do you know what I originally did? I actually originally had it the sofa I'm sitting on, and then you would sit beside me. But
No.
it was absolutely. I was just like, oh no, I couldn't have done it. Like,
It's like if you're on a park bench and somebody sits like right, or in the airport when somebody sits like right beside you and there's like 2 seats spare. It's just like, oh come on, no. I'm glad I'm not over there and you're running my leg.
And I was like, it's a cream sofa too, so not a black sofa. It's sort of maybe hate some. Not that I watch that sort of stuff, you know. Fucking God, a lot of family watch this stuff, so they get slated for it. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on. How's your lockdown been? Just what have you been up to?
Yeah, good. Like my lockdown's been a bit different, probably the most. Like I actually really enjoyed lockdown to an extent because like it gave me a real break from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like you and everybody else, if you stop work, you stopped everything. I really enjoyed the like. It sounds a bit odd, but the slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know when like days felt long.
Yeah,
I quite like that because life usually feels like my dad always said to me, like, he's like, whenever you turn 21, you click your fingers and you're 50.
Mm-hmm.
And like from like 21 to 25 now, I can't even believe it. Like it feels like it went so quick. And anybody that's like 18 will be like me about that. But anybody who's like 30 will be like, fuck, I know exactly what it's like. So it actually let me see like what areas of my life were like really, really poor and what was good. So obviously like fitness and business, but like I was obviously like not doing great at other stuff. So I quite liked the fact I got a minute to breathe. But business is like literally all I've been at because it's all you can do, if you know what I mean.
yeah. Well, everyone's working from home and stuff, and you work from home anyway, so
Suits me.
do down to the ground. But I think even for me, it was just I think I was at that stage where I got too bored during lockdown. You know, like I wasn't doing enough. I personally, you're not the right person to probably tell us to. I don't really care about fitness overly much. Like as long as I'm relatively healthy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as I'm relatively healthy, I'm pretty happy. Like not more obese. In fairness, I've hit an all-time high. May as well tell you, 85 kg.
You're a heavy fucker now.
Thick boy, like
Sinking into the couch.
And I used to be. I couldn't get 2 people on this couch, and I'd fucking cope. But I don't know what I was doing wrong. You know, like you're trying to get out for your steps and things. I wouldn't have been a big gym goer anyway, but just trying to keep yourself sort of half right. One thing that really is holding me back, I had an injury 2 years ago actually on my back, and it's always held me back. I don't think I ever properly recovered from it. So even like high impact stuff, I tried. You didn't do your 5k, did you? You did walk. Remember the 5k trend?
Oh, fuck, that was ages ago.
Yeah.
I think I walked. Yeah, I'm not a runner.
Why you actually don't you run? That's a good question for you.
Personally, like I
Is it physically too dangerous for you to run?
No, like yeah, like I would have ran at like fire calls when I was working in station. Like that's the only time I would have ran.
Taking you 2 hours to get there. I'm not running.
Yeah, like it would have been like Joe. Like if somebody's in a fucking house and it's burning, you don't be like, I'll power walk here, lads. Joe, it's sort of bolting. The reason I don't run is one, I don't really enjoy it. Like that's the main reason why. And then on top of that, whenever you think about it, like I always think of like whenever I'm breaking down like what I want to do for physique, you think, right, my main goal is to look a certain way. That's really what my whole thing's about. It's not to be super strong, it's to look. That's what my thing's all about. And whenever I look at runners, the no offense to anybody that runs, but they don't look the way I want. Like you look at the main runners, triathletes, they're not big, huge guys. Like you might get the odd dude that's quite big, but majority, like it's like whenever females come to me and they be like, I love running, but I want a massive set of glutes. I'm like, majority of sprinters, yes, might have big glutes, but like if you're running 10Ks, it tends to not be there. And that's because like your body doesn't want to carry around a fuckload of muscle whenever it's running. It wants to be as light. That's why you drop fat and muscle though. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So to be honest, that's probably the main reason why, but it's also like, weights is my thing, so like I try and stay where I'm good at, and like, do you know if you're shit at something, you don't enjoy doing it. Like I'm shit at running.
Yeah, you don't do it. So I think that's most people's problem when they come to the gym. They're shit at everything, so don't go near any of it.
Yeah, so like that's why you'll not see me out running the road because I'd be stopping every like 10 steps.
No, I tried it, and I was just I drove myself insane because I was comparing myself to the fucking cons that we're doing. You can tell they don't run, and they're going 22 minutes. It's like, are you having a laugh? I was doing like 31 minutes or something like that, which I thought was alright, like for someone that doesn't really run.
Yeah, it's solid because there's people putting up 19 minutes and I'm like, you're fucking.
I know county footballers that were struggling to hit 19 minutes. Like,
yeah, exactly. But that's just people fucking. But that's people who think like people following them are stupider than them.
Yeah.
I don't even think stupider is a word.
No.
So that proves me. But do you know what I mean? It's like people who think they can make other people buy into it.
Yeah.
I think that's fucking ridiculous.
That's just something that drives me mad about social media. No one asks you to post your 5K time. I know this is harping on a bit back and going a bit back in history here, but no one asked you to put up your your times and stuff like that.
See, it depends. Like if you're following somebody, I just look at it like if you follow somebody, it's down to you to unfollow them. If they want to post their 5K time, that's completely. It's like me whenever I post pictures of my fucking dog.
Yeah,
you've signed up for that, so you may take it. And
if you don't like it,
exactly. It's like whenever like that Katie Hopkins thing. Like we were literally talking about this for like 2 seconds because it was a wee bit controversial, and it's like a case of like you were saying like I put up this like thing of Katie Hopkins like a reshared her. So for anybody that doesn't know, she literally gives everybody shit.
Yeah, she's an absolute cunt.
She's on Loose Women or something like that.
No, do you know what? She actually got banned from Twitter. I think she's that brutal.
Yeah, she did.
She's that brutal that she actually got banned from Twitter, and she says some absolutely outrageous stuff. Like, but as we were saying, I was asking Tony, like, you shared something of hers, which I personally agreed with, but as you're saying,
it was more so to do like if you go on her page and you scroll down Instagram, like it'll be a couple of weeks back and it'll have like a British flag in the background. I think I remember, and it's like practically her and her opinion on like COVID and what we should be doing now. And like I listened to it and I was like, fuck, I 100% agree with this. I was like, that needs heard. But it's one of these things whenever you're sharing it and you know there's going to be people who just do not like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know this whole controversy now? Should you wear a mask? Should you not? You know, they didn't tell us, but should we now? And it's this whole like right and wrong. So people are, it's personal choice.
I think, see, at the start of COVID, like, it was worth saying on sort of putting your point across and being like, look at the science, look at the facts. See, now it's either this or you're on one side or the other, and I wouldn't even waste my breath trying to tell someone otherwise. Like, if you don't want to wear a mask, I'm not going to shout at you for it. If you do want to wear a mask, work away.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
I
think you're just wasting your time now. Not saying one's right and one's wrong. I'm just saying you're not going to convince anybody to change their mind at this stage. Like.
No, and practically her opinion was like just like we need to start moving towards life. We need to start traveling. We need to start living again because we've been in hibernation for. And I was sort of like, fuck yeah. There's a lot of people that their lives are on pause. Like my sister's wedding's been called off. You know, like there's loads of things that have almost been taken away. So she was sort of saying like, we need to almost take what we can back now because the government's taking a lot of control, stuff like that. And practically I shared it. If you listen to it, you'll know. And within like 4 minutes, I had like 10 messages being like, I thought you were a good person and now you're literally a cunt. And I was like, right, that's dead on. I don't mind one or two, but like all of a sudden I started getting like spiral of abuse, and this happens from time to time. Like you'll just get like a snowball effect of like people you'd swear they were like private message or will just give abuse today. And like I stand by my word all the time and I'll never take anything down, but see whenever it starts like zapping my energy and it starts like if anybody's listening to this that like comment about that, like I completely still agree with her opinion on that. But the thing is, and you're entitled to say like you don't give a fuck what I think or vice versa or whatever you want. But I think it was the sort of thing where I just couldn't cope with like the fact that I had like 15 people to then argue with, and I was like, I can't be arsed with these.
It's not worth your time and energy. Like,
it drains the fuck out of you. But the thing is, I was like ripping because me taking it down then was almost like they win.
Yeah.
Joe and I was sort of like, you fuckers, Joe, you think like I'm crawling here?
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was more so a case of like, if that's 15 within like the first half an hour, I was like, what if it's like 100 by tomorrow? And I just and then if you don't reply, people think you're rude, and I try and get back to everybody and everything like that. And it's just one of them things where it's like, right and wrong, it's opinions. That's all it really comes down to.
I think see if someone like Philip Schofield had said the exact same words that she had said, you wouldn't have got 5 comments on it. Like, you know,
that's why like I seen somebody's shirt and he was like, I don't like this person, but this is a very valid point, and I was like, literally couldn't agree more. But I know where you're coming from. It depends whose mouth it comes from, but it's one of them things where like as we were talking about right and wrong, and COVID's just such like a, I think people are probably sick about hearing about it, but it's one of them things where like if you put a foot wrong, people are ready to fucking nail you to the cross already. You know, that's like literally what it's like sometimes. Yeah. So I think it's dialing off on that as well. Like if I seen somebody post that with like 10 times my followers, I wouldn't message them and start giving them abuse, because I would go, firstly, you probably didn't give it, like I didn't ask people, I'm going to post this and then you just give me your opinion on what you think. Yeah. If you don't like it, unfollow me the fuck. Yeah, I've always said that, and even going back to last year whenever I was writing blog posts and stuff like this, I think we actually posted fucking, I find me and you think very similarly, which is very strange. We don't see each other an awful lot. No. But we'll have the same sort of beard. Immorals, but we both have shade beards, that's a fact. The McAleaveys have never been blessed with beards. I'm hoping mine comes up on camera pretty well here. Well, mine hasn't. I remember whenever I first started uni last year,
was it last, no, year before, I went in, and like the slags I got for my beard, like just out of everyone, like everyone's younger than me because I went to uni when I was 21, like, so everyone's like, are you a mature student? All like the 18, 19 year olds. I was like, what? And he was, you can't even grow a beard though, like, are you that mature and all? I was like, so it got to me and I was like, right, I'm gonna shave it off to prove a point, and I shaved it off and it just all rolled into one. They're like, you know, that shit beard's way better, like, way better. I was like, no, I told you.
See, when somebody says mature student, I think of like somebody like 45 with a briefcase or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
I went to Salford University whenever I was on the wave of becoming a physio for whatever reason. I was just, at the time, I was like, I'm determined to be a physio. Went to Salford University, and their intake of mature students is 60%. And I actually felt like, because you're used to everyone being your own age in school and stuff.
What does a mature student count as?
Like mature students, like over 25.
Right, that's alright. Well, like,
because like at 25,
mature, like.
Yeah. But you've probably had a full-time job and it's quite hard to go back to university. You can give that stuff up, and most people are probably sort of tailing towards getting houses and stuff like that. Like, so you're definitely a lot more mature than what you were 18, 19. Like,
yeah, I'd like to think so. I was fucking a lunatic, but yeah.
But yeah, we went to that. I went to that university. And I was just looking around, like, I was walking around with my dad, and I think they were looking around, being like, they're more looking at my dad, being like, Are you coming to sign up than me? Like, it was it was the weirdest environment ever. Like, I was like, I felt hard done by too, because I got rejected by them. I was like, fucking bastards, like, you could do some fresh meat around here.
That's typical. I know, youngin', but
yeah,
that's typical though. Like, I always, like, I fucking hate the pure white girl quote, like, everything happens for a reason and all that. But like, I do think if you get knocked down in that, like, sort of that area, that was like almost not a sign. You could try again, but if the momentum wasn't there to be like, I need to do this, then you're like,
100% live. But I know it is white girl. I'm not very religious, but I believe that everything does happen for a reason. Like,
yeah, 100%. Like, it guides you sort of in a way, if that makes sense. Like, if you could turn down there, you either get the momentum to go, no, fuck, do you know what, that I really want that, and I'll go for that again next year, and that's what I definitely want, and that drills it into you. Or you go, you know, thank fuck. Like, I applied for occupational therapy in uni.
Did you?
Yeah, like, and went down and sat the
Could
HPAT.
not imagine.
No, like, do you know what I mean? But I applied just because I was like, that's not a bad degree. That was my idea. Yeah. So, like, I was so...
What is your opinion of that HPAT? I did it.
Well, personally, it was fucking just weird. Like, I didn't practice for it.
I didn't do well in it. I did.
No, I failed.
Not that I failed. There was actually... So, they do it in, like, percentages, isn't it? So, it's like, you're in, like, the top 30%.
Well, I didn't get into occupational therapy, got the grades, but the HPAT let me down.
That's what mine was for physio. That's exactly what happened for me. But what happened for me was, I got like 30% or something, I got there and opened it, and we were all in tech and we all opened it, and one of the boys goes, what's 1% mean? It's the bottom 1%.
Holy fuck.
I mean, somebody has to get it, like, but it was just, Joe was one of your mates, fuck, he got some doing.
That's hilarious.
The bottom 1%. Someone has to, but that was another thing, actually. I haven't talked about this yet, but I went to sort of school yet. You sort of took your time getting university through like the tech and stuff.
Yeah,
didn't you?
I done like a foundation degree because I didn't really know if I wanted to go. It was one of the things, you know, when you feel like you're just following the pack.
No, I'm convinced no fella, I don't know, I can't speak on girls, but I'm convinced no fella knows what they want to do. Probably most girls don't either at the age of 18, 19 when they're applying for things, like, unless it's been forced down your throat from parents being like, you're going to be a doctor or you're going to be a whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's very hard to know what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
No, like, especially like, even if you look at like whenever I was picking like what I was going to do after GCSEs, like I was in St. Joe's and it only goes to like 5th year, and like I remember I got the grades to go to the college, and like that was almost like, that's where you're going now,
you have to go,
that's where it is. But I went to tech because the thing is, like, my ones would have been quite good with that, in a sense of like, just do whatever's taking your fancy. But like, I didn't do PE in school. Like, anybody that like knows me from school, like, I was like chubby, but like I didn't do PE. I brought a note every year for 5 years, like literally didn't do PE. Hated it.
You didn't really like football and stuff like that, did you know?
I played Gaelic whenever I was like 4th, 5th year.
Didn't you?
I slowly started going in it, but like, it was like 3rd and 4th year where like I maybe done like, I'd say I done like, the PE teacher used to hate me because it would just be the same sick note.
Yeah.
And it would just say like, Tony is not fit for not feeling well. Just complete lies.
What would you have to do in PE? Was it just sort of
mixture?
In the Abbey, it was Gaelic football every single week. Nothing changed. 1st through to 5th year, you didn't do anything else. I think we did gymnastics once, and someone threw a wobbler during it, like near to kill themselves doing like a headstand, and that was it. There
was a real mix. I think there's a good probably mix now. Like, ours was more mixed, but it was just a fact, like, I just didn't feel like really comfortable doing PE. I don't know what it was. I was never athletic, was never really in shape. And then it, like, I think as well, whenever I was younger and like the PE, like, I was quite like, there was a stage where I had a good bit of weight on. I think it was probably like not anxiety, but like, you're also afraid to get picked on, like if you take off your top and you've got weight in you.
Especially young age, like
Yeah, absolutely. Because like
people are ruthless, like
brutal. But the thing is, like, I also like I loved it. Like, I wouldn't say I was fucking bullied to where I was in bits. Like, I got picked on, but I think everybody got picked on, and I think
I think something you have to go through.
Yeah, I think it actually helped me massively because if somebody didn't say to me about the weight, like I didn't get fucking slagged for moves, I would have probably never lost it.
Yeah,
and then I wouldn't be in the shape I am now, and I wouldn't be sitting here, and I wouldn't have my dream, like
it's
my dream job.
Literally, we're literally saying, like, if you didn't get picked on then, and again, everything happens for a reason, you wouldn't progress to that.
No, like I would never have lost the weight. Like for example, like Granny on like Granny McAleavey, for example, like I remember like she used to cut apples for me. This is like weird stuff, but anyway, like she was like one of the first people to like literally give me shit about being fat.
Oh, I remember my sister used to come in. I have two sisters, and she'd always go, "You're the bigger one, aren't you?"
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
And stuff like that. She ended up going. I know you're not a big fan of Weight Watchers, whatever, but it helped her, and she lost like 4 stone or something from it.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, whatever works
like,
for you. Do you know what I mean?
It was good for her. But something on the school thing, just like coming up through. One thing I feel really bad, through this whole like grades thing that's happening at the minute, and people getting their grades. One thing I feel terrible for, and anyone that's actually in school, fuck it, this is probably my one area of actual expertise, going through school, not getting into university, missing out with all your mates and stuff, I guess, here, which, as shit as it is, I finally made in, and without doubt, it's one of my greatest achievements. But one thing I learned, and this comes down to people getting their grades and complaining that they didn't get their grades, I knew when I got my grades, and this is the other side of it, people aren't seeing, when I got my grades, I got a C, a D, and a U, and dropped out of school after 6th year and went, they are awful, I am never pulling them up because I don't work hard enough in school. And I learned more from failing them grades that I learned throughout life than passing them.
Yeah,
Joe, if you get the grades, I'm not saying there's people that 100% deserve all the A's they're getting handed them stuff, but I learned way more from realizing I did not put in enough work and I deserve to fail them.
Yeah, it's because like for example, like if you look at if you look at Hillary that I'm seeing, like for example, like straight A student, like entire time works really hard for it though, so the work ethic's already built, whereas like mine wasn't there either.
Yeah.
So I almost needed to go like, you're not going to get these grades, son, because you're doing fuck all, so you may pick up the pace. Whereas, like, as you said, I think people that are getting them already have that, not drilled in, but they're already doing the work, so they don't need to learn that sort of lesson, if it makes sense.
But I think those people that are, say, like me and you, that sort of, say in school, you sort of half-ass and you didn't get the top grades and stuff, and then you got this gift of the university by somehow, you've got in.
Yeah.
I'd say the universities, they're going to take in a lot of people, and they're probably not going to see a higher dropout rate.
Yeah, like as you said, I think it's also to do with like the fact that people don't have a fucking know what they want to do. Like I think like as well, like it was like the case of like if you look at like my careers over the last like 3 years, there's been like fucking 4.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's been like beach lifeguard, and there's been fucking. There was originally it was like sport and exercise. It was like that sort of sport and exercise science degree. So that was probably going to go on to something like a master's or like down that PhD sort of learning route. Then all of a sudden I was like, no, I'll just work on the beach full time and do. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was a firefighter and an online coach. You know, it's sort of.
Well, actually, I was saying this is one of the things I don't want to really skip over because I feel like a lot of people don't know the full Tony McAleavey story in terms of like what. Well, I actually find it interesting, so I'm sure there's a couple of people that would like to know. So originally, obviously, you said we've covered school. You weren't into fitness really. You skipped PE, all them stuff. Went and did the sports course in the local tech.
Yep.
And then from there, you worked. Your first job was in. You actually worked in a store.
Yes, bingo.
Yeah, and then
it's good.
I actually remember you telling me you were so useless from there, but you're a good crack. So the manager kept you on. Is that right?
Yeah, I wasn't like I
weren't employee of the month. Like
no, fuck. I didn't like me at all. Keep that quiet. But a case of like. Yeah, like from like if we even go back to like when I started, like I always like whenever we're talking about like my younger and what people probably would like to know more, like whenever we bring it up, it's a case of like started, and people will not believe this, but like I had a really bad speech like problem whenever I was younger, like speech therapy. Like was like whenever I asked like my sister the other night because I was talking to somebody about it because the client that was coming on had a speech problem, and I was like, mate, I know how it is, and they were like, yeah, but you had it when you were younger, and I was like, yeah, but I had it till I was fucking 8. And I was like, children should be able to speak at 8 normally. I was still saying words like yo for yes. You know, so it was like fucking Scrabble when you don't have the words you need to spell. You're sort of, maybe that'll count. So like I would have said like fwee for freeze. Like so like my mum would have been fucking trying to decipher what the fuck I was saying, you know. So like I started off like that, was a pure like one of these children that would have been like slightly not aggressive but like tantrumy and cried over everything, and like my ones tried everything from like trying to lock me in rooms to calm down. I would have been fucking trying to break the doors and everything, and then slowly went into school and changed from that into like more quiet, sort of would have been picked on bits and pieces. Like as they say, but like a case of just wouldn't have fitted in really.
Yeah.
I didn't like other people.
Yeah.
Always stuck by myself. Don't know why. Like that's what my one say. Do you know why you don't really remember that?
I think sort of like obviously your one's probably better than the average person, obviously. Like, but when you go to your house, it is like Beirut. Like you don't know between everyone that's in the house talking at you. You would probably be the one person that would have stayed out of the way that whole time. Because they are just the most social people you'll ever meet in your entire life. Like,
yeah, I would say that's probably why, in a sense. Like if you imagine like that, I'm like people won't believe that I'm quiet, but like if you came into my house, I'm probably the last person to speak.
yeah, that 100%.
So that's probably why I speak so much on camera and stuff, because that's
Probably don't get a chance to get a word in.
Yeah, like all my ones are so like my sister talks at 100 miles an hour. So there's mum, auntie, dad, there's dogs and all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. It is sort of like that. It's like it's different because as well. Whenever I first came on, I was talking on camera and talking on. People were sort of like, "Where's this coming from?" Do you know?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't like do you know the way you see people and you're like, "Oh, he's just doing that next thing." It was like that initial like step wasn't like just next logical step. It was just like a
Yeah,
fuck. I'm here now and I'm on camera talking shit.
yeah.
Do you know?
You have to do the thing, like.
Yeah, so like, and then if you like look through like went through school, obviously all that stuff was trained. Then like somehow like in between like 4th and 5th year, like still was skipping PE, but like started doing like thousands of crunches in my yards. Like became obsessive with like getting a 6-pack and getting like in shape because it was always the other side of the table.
You're doing them YouTube tutorials like how
Yeah.
to get ripped in 6 minutes and all.
Yeah, like if you look up 8-minute abs, it's like a video from like the 1970s, and you're talking like I would have done this like 3 times a day, like minimum back
No
to
way.
back. And like, see now if I went to do the abs, I wouldn't be fit for it. The abs are deadly, and like because I went to do them like a month ago because somebody said it to me, and like you're talking like if you do this, it is sore. And I used to literally go into my garage, and my mum would have been coming in and picking up like chicken goujons around me to cook for dinner, and I'd be doing these hundreds of crunches, like sort of slightly chubby, just banging them out, and like my ones would be like, right, whatever the fuck, and I would have been like literally just get like I had no clue, like I was 15, and I was like literally just give me goujons and beans for dinner, like and that's what I ate for like a year, like straight.
No way.
I think I ate goujons, beans, and potatoes for a year straight, nothing else.
Just sit-ups.
And just on crunches, and like that shows you like where my knowledge was at one stage.
Yeah.
There was like everybody like I'm just gonna eat salads is the same thing, but like eventually this is why I always say like you can chicken and broccoli yourself into shape. You can literally you can't outwork a bad diet, but I literally crunched myself till I had a 6-pack like day and night. Like you're talking like would have been doing like crunches for like came home straight from school and would have done an hour of ab work every day, and then would have done it on the weekends and all.
No way.
But
no,
nobody
anything else like no, just abs.
abs. It was only like 15. Is all I knew, and a lot of decline bench. But my ones were like, he's not wise. You know, it's just a phase.
Yeah.
And it was a phase. But the thing is, they were sort of like he'll fall out of it. But then like 6 months went by, 9 months went by, 12 months went by, and that's probably the one thing that's always stuck with me is like it sort of makes me slightly slightly emotional when I talk about it because I always remember how I felt, and then whenever you bring it up, it always sort of brings me back to it, and I think about it, and I just think like the one thing I learned from that is no matter what, like all I wanted was 6-pack because I thought it would bring me women. Like I literally because I
That's
think
the same as every young fella growing up. Like
I think it was like 4th year, 3rd year, and I had literally kissed like one girl at the time, and I was like, fuck, if I get abs, they'll just start coming.
yeah,
They'll
that's
just
because in Ireland you'll have your top off every second. Like
yeah, exactly. So
walking down your canal with your top off. Like
you know what I mean? But typical didn't understand, thought that, and fair enough, probably does help to an extent. It's better than being fucking 25 stone when you're
like,
15. Like.
Yeah.
So I just remember, but the one thing it always taught me is that if you want something, if you're consistent enough for long enough, like I literally went the arse about face way. I could have done that in 3 months.
Yeah.
Took me a year to do it, but the thing is, because I done it for so long, it eventually came, and that's why I always say to people like you can chicken and broccoli yourself into shape if you give it long enough. Like if you give it 4 or 5 years, you will get there.
I think just even listen that I know the way I am. Like I try to do as much as have my hands in as many pots as possible. But the fact that you come home and dedicate yourself to just that, because I just think it sets you up for success. If you can have that sort of motivation and drive to get yourself in shape, even though you don't know what you're doing, but if you're willing to put that much time and effort, eventually, if you start educating yourself, you're gonna see some success. Like,
yeah, like that's it though. It's like that's why whenever like somebody comes on for coaching, the first thing like whenever they're like, oh, price, and then you see them sort of like maybe squirm about it, they talk about it. The first thing I think is like, nah, like I'm probably 10 years training now. Like I remember like watching them doing them crunches, and then I would do like maybe I wouldn't even do my homework really. Like I would literally go to a room and I would literally watch hours of YouTube and try and figure out who knew what and who didn't. And I just think whenever it comes down to that, like you're paying for all them hours.
Yeah.
Every bit of learning, every 6 months of training blocks. Like I've done training blocks where I paid coaches like literally thousands, and like they've been shit. Like they haven't worked.
Yeah.
Like but the thing is, was it down to me and my application? Like, I would say I'm really committed, like, wouldn't go step up plan. Like, and I'm not saying any coach is shit, but a case of, like, it just didn't work for me. And that's a case of, like, that probably worked for somebody else. And it's knowing that they're paying for everything that I've learned.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a good coach, because they're getting, like, all the wee small things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they know, like, I'm not going to turn around and be like, here's your meal plan, here's chicken goujons, beans and potatoes, and see
You're going to skip that shade stage.
See like, in a year. Yeah, that's why. Whenever people come to me and they're like, I'm cutting carbs and stuff, like, you know what way to go around it. And I think it's such a weird, like, I don't think I've ever told anybody, like, the chicken and goujon thing, because, like, especially on camera, because it's something whenever I talk about it, I would be like, ooh. Yeah, so, like, I was like, shit, I don't want to bring that up, but it's something that whenever people hear, they'll be like, I can relate to that to an extent.
100%.
Because you can understand feeling like that.
Every young fella goes through it. Like, even from a footballing point of view, like, I remember coming through football, and now looking back on football, I don't have fond memories of it. Like, I went through a lot of shit with football when I was younger, but I just remember being given the excuse, like, you're not big enough, you're not strong enough, and you'd come home, and I wouldn't have the same level of dedication to eat beans and chicken goujons and do press ups on there, but you'd just be pulling your head thinking, what do I need to do? And you're trying to get the information, and you really do struggle to get it. Like,
brutal. It's deadly.
It almost is impossible to find, because as fucking brilliant as the internet is, it is deadly to find information on it. Like,
it's like that saying you ever hear, it's like opinions are like arseholes, everybody's got one that's full of shit. But, or what is it? That's not the
I think as the end of it, you don't always need to hear it or something. I don't know.
It's like opinions
or see
are like,
it or hear it or
this
something
is
like that.
funny. Opinions are like arseholes, everybody's got one, and it's not all of them are full of shit. Somebody else can correct us on this, but it's something like that. But anyway, you're getting the gist. But yeah, no. And I think it's as well, like, when people hear that, they'll be like, fuck, he was just dedicated from when he was 15. But the thing is, I wasn't. Like, I didn't want, like, there was probably days in the middle where I missed it. Like, I would say I didn't do a year straight. It just, that's what I remember. And I know, like, if you remember back to blocks of time, like, if you remember back, like, 10 years, I think, like, don't quote me on the statistics, but I think, like, 40 to 50% of the memory will be right, and the other 50 is like what you've infatuated it to be, or like roughly told yourself. So like if I told myself a year, I've probably done like 9 months, or I've maybe missed days here and there. Like, that's normal. But yeah, like, I think it's just such a weird thing. And if you even say like football, like, I think it's just that whole, it's just such a weird thing, because if there's any boys or girls listening to this and they think like back to that age, you are like a really, really weird sort of, you don't know where you fall.
You're super vulnerable.
Yeah, and
that's
I think
the way to put it. I think, like, you don't know what's going to happen to you. You don't know why anything happens the way it does. Like, you might. The big thing when you're growing up is just attractiveness to the opposite sex or same sex or whatever it is you're into.
Yeah, women,
and that's all you want to impress and do. And when you don't get it, which happens a lot of people, it's happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to you. Like, there's nothing worse. I mean, no, it never happened to me. Like, but for those people, it does happen.
I know what you mean. It's like whenever you're younger, like, especially in Ireland,
it's all
like,
that's important.
Yeah, 100%. It's probably the main thing that's going through your mind. And then whenever you look at it and you think like, what's a big moment in your life? Probably whenever you're that age, it's probably the first time you get like infatuated with the other, like with a lass, or like it's that like almost where it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you were to do it now, you'd be like, oh, that's a bit odd. Where you're actually like people don't know this, where you text the person, you're like, wonder how long I'll take them text back. Like, that's the sort of stuff you do be at, and people will be like, he's a fucking weirdo, don't be doing that now, don't worry. But a case of, that is the sort of stuff you be at, and I think that's, as you said, vulnerable, because that can fuck with your confidence, and I think that has like a knock-on effect. And there's no, like, as like in school, like, you don't get taught, like, I think in America they probably put condoms on fucking like cucumbers or something. Don't know why that comes to mind, don't know if that's true. But not how I learned. But like, there's none of that here, and they don't talk about like how, like, as much as people say it, like, time passes and it heals all that, because it does, because you remember the first person you're infatuated with, and I think it's a big, big deal for you.
Definitely is. Like,
but like, everybody, either it goes well, but at the same time, like, you either get married or you break up, or you don't even get to see the person if you're like me and you. So, it's from like afar in a bush. It's one of them things where I think it's such a weird age to talk about, because I almost I'm back there when I talk about it.
Oh, you can throw yourself in them emotions literally like that. Like, you can take yourself straight back there. And I think people listen to this, and if you are in that sort of stage of your life, I don't know how we think we're qualified to talk about this sort of stuff.
No.
But we've been through it, and like, it may seem so important now, and people go through real bad shit with this, but it just isn't the be all end all. Like, it doesn't need to, like,
time heals everything.
It doesn't need to be your everything, like, and time will move on. And at that young age, like, the person you're interested at 15, odds are, unless you're in like 0.2%, you're not going to marry them. Like,
yeah, like, I went to like a course with like John D. Martini, if anybody looks him up, like, and he's a really smart, like, he's the #1 human behaviors. There's a boy to my right, and he was at the course as well. Like, course is like sort of nightmare to get into. It took me like a year, and like when you're there, the people there are really interesting. Like the woman to my left had 3 kids die in 3 consecutive months in 3 different car crashes. Like, do you know stuff where you're like, that's
not real.
Yeah, and the man to my right, the reason I'm bringing this up, I didn't mean to just down the mood there, but like, that sounds made up and it's not. And like, I have her on Instagram, like, I know her, she's like 40 and it's just mad. But the man to my right, for example, like, he like married like his literally childhood sweetheart, and like it was all, and I was like to him, fuck. I was like, well, why are you here? Because it's a bit of a mindset thing. And I was sort of like, everything, millionaire, lives in Malahide. I was like, fuck, everything's good. And then he goes, my wife died like last year, or about 18 months ago, and I was like, fuck, he must be heartbroken. And then I was like dead on. I was like, I joked around. I was like, so you're not back on the scene? He was like, nah, I'm near married to her over there. Went across the room, and he had almost picked up. And I was like, how? And he was just like, he was like, after about a year, he was like, yes, it was tough, and don't get me wrong, like I still miss her, but he was like, he just turned around to me and he goes, time heals everything. Everything. He goes, as much as she's my one love, he was like, this is a different type of love. And he was like, it's not sexual, just, he goes, it's just, there's no 2 loves the same. And I think when you hear that from somebody
That's
older,
yeah, 2 different types.
when you hear that from somebody older, he was just like me, you don't love people the same. He was like, you don't love your mum the way you love your sister. And then he was like, you don't love one wife the way you love the next. He's like, it's different. And he was like, that's why you can't compare it. And he goes, that's the reason why. If you literally turn around and you start spelling this on me, and I was like, fuck, I would have paid to listen to you, mate.
Yeah.
And he was just like that's why, like, if you ever like stop seeing one girlfriend, the reason the next relationship usually fails is because you're comparing her pros with the next like faults. But he goes, they're 2 different people, don't try and make them fit in one box, because he goes,
it's like that thing people do. It's like my type or my ideal person. I don't think you're ever going to find that if you're, you sort of just need to stumble across and things pair up and things like that there. But I honestly don't have a clue how the hell we got on to relationship advice.
Yeah, because this happens to me all the time. Like, people ask this in my Q&A, and like the first thing that people will be backlashing at me is like, you definitely don't have experience this, and the first thing I say is I definitely don't. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm happy enough
you're happy enough to shut the shit. we need the content. We need the content. Like,
I think it's one of the things where it's nice when you talk openly about it, because we don't need, you don't,
especially as boys. Boys don't talk about this.
No way. Like, and I think it can come across preachy. Which is where it doesn't. That's why, like, if you open up with the way like we did, and you talk about like where you've been shot down, rather than, oh man, I just walking a night out and
my dick's 12 inches long.
Yeah, well, thanks.
I got chopped in half to get 12 inches.
But I know what you mean. It's one of them things where it's not talked about. And I think whenever you do talk about, you're almost looking for like out of all we talked about there and we went to ramble, I think like if you get one light bulb moment, it's all you're looking, because that's all, like, whenever I go to them courses and stuff, like, and it's a nightmare to get in the room, and you like, that was one of one of the moments in the day that I was like, oh, I'm gonna really keep that with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, whenever it sounds real sad and all, but your life
you never forget that.
No,
someone sat down and said that to me, because even though you told me the story through that fella, I will never forget that information. No. And probably people listening will probably never forget that. Like,
do you know who he looks like too, and this will weird you out? Do you know Jerry from the pool? So he looked like that. He looked like that, but he talked smoother. So sorry if Jerry's listening, but a case of,
don't think Jerry has internet in his house.
No, probably not. But if just wanted to give him an idea of what he looked like. But a case of like, it was such a weird thing. But I don't know. I don't know how we went down that rabbit hole. It was sort of like, I'm sorry.
These things happen on a podcast, and that's what makes them absolutely class. Like,
it's far better.
Yeah, it's far better. It's genuine. Like, because as I said, there's one thing I'm going to hate doing with this, and if I do it, jump across and slap me. Jimmy Fallon style. Oh, so tell me about your newest fucking protein shake. You've really
that spunk shake.
Yeah, get away from that. Like, so, one thing actually, we're on the topic. I'm somehow get over here. Back to you, and back to we got as far as where retail.
Probably probably first job. Yes,
first job, and then we'll go into lifeguarding.
Yeah, so like I actually worked in a garage when I was 14 or 15. Like, Dad sent me off to work. Like, it was fucking.
I think everyone's like, get out,
so
go earn money.
$2.70 or £3 an hour.
What were you doing? Oil pumps or something?
I know, stacking shelves, but like I was absolutely.
I didn't think you'd be tall enough to stack shelves.
No, like maybe the bottom row, like the very bottom.
You'd be the boy, all the tall boys to the top, and you get the bottom bit.
And yeah, that went into JD. Actually went into Next, and they like literally told me from the first 2 days of me being in for Christmas stuff that I wasn't being kept on. Because I obviously was the worst worker in the first 2 days. But the worst thing they could have done was that, because all I done for the next 2 months.
Oh, you're not going to do top?
Oh, fuck all. Came in and sat at the back.
You're not trying to impress anybody?
No,
I'm 100% like that too.
It was unreal. It suited me well. Went to JD, then went to lifeguard in the pool, then went to lifeguard on the beach. Right,
so stop you at lifeguard in the pool.
Yeah.
So lifeguarding in the pool, how how exactly is that come about? That we sort of have a bit of a family.
Yeah,
in the
there's a connection
lifeguarding.
there, but my came about because I had moved to like I jumped from like GCSEs into the tech because I was going to go to the college, but because that whole ab route was going on with the Goujons, I sort of was like, do you know what? I actually think I could.
I would look lethal in a pair of red shorts and a yellow t-shirt now.
I think it turned around and I just goes, I didn't have a note what I wanted to do, and I goes, the only thing I'm actually remotely interested in learning is like, it was like biology and like the thing, but I was like, I don't know what job I'm gonna get from that, and then sports, and my one's turned around to me and goes like, you're not really studying biology, you're studying exercise.
Yeah.
And I sort of just was like, do you know what? I'm just going to pick the course that I like. And like the first thing people would have said to me, like teachers would have said to me, especially like that were talking to me and stuff, would have been like, you're looking like a dead end. You're going to be the turn around is either a PE teacher or nothing. And which is fine. Like I turned around and was like, at least I'll study it and I'll be happy. And if my sort of end goal was to work anywhere and just be educated to keep myself in shape, because that's the one thing I always wanted.
Yeah.
And I think I went down that route, and then I think it was just like a case of like that job sort of fit in, and I was like swimming to like to cut instead of running because I hated running.
Yeah.
And then eventually I bumped into somebody that took lifeguarding because I was in the pool all the time. So it was almost like a snowball, like a trigger effect. You know what I mean? Like
You're sort of getting into that industry as a whole, like.
yeah, like you're training constantly, so you're going to bump into people who train all the time, and who train whenever you're training in the pool all the time, you're going to bump into lifeguards, and they're going to turn around you and go, "Fuck, he's tuned in. Do you know what? He's actually not a dickhead. I wouldn't mind working with him." And then all of a sudden, that's the sort of way I fell into it. And then
what do you think of the pool lifeguarding in general? Like, not the most exciting job in the world. Like,
no, like it's not as like it's not.
it's not on the beach. Like, probably.
No, but at the same time, the beach is like the beach. If you know what I mean, like it's like everything. Like a job is exactly what you make of it. Like I know people that go into work and they work 9 to 5 in a retail and they fucking love it, and that's just because their mindset. Whereas if people go in and literally be like, I fucking hate this. So I think I actually love the pool. Like I had no problem in any of them jobs because like I think I've worked the jobs prior where I was sort of like fucking slave buzz.
Yeah.
And it was enough for me. So I was happy out sitting and watching the water, and if somebody was having a wee.
Did anything ever happen in the pool?
No, fuck. Very, very little.
I had one.
Maybe one or two.
And I'm still employed there, so I don't know if I should tell this story, but I might as well have happened a couple of years ago, and I've told a load of people about it. Like, so
This is the big
waiting to hear how lethal this was. I've ever told you this, no?
I don't know.
This is pure magic, right? So we'll have the big pool, right? I'm on the shallow end of the big pool, and there's another lifeguard at the deep end of the wee pool. And the way the pool works, it's a 25-meter pool. It's 1 meter, and then it starts to gradually decline into 2 meter. So there's a bit of a ramp. And you're sitting there, and you know your systems, and you're scanning, you're looking and whatnot, and this wee girl starts bobbing up and down. And the weird thing about drowning that people don't understand is it's very rare you'll get someone going, help me, help me. A lot of the times it's very silent.
Yeah, if they're really going to drown, they're going to be silent. They're not
silent.
going to.
And this girl was about 7 years old, so there wasn't a whole lot of noise. It was quite a busy time. And next thing I see her spotting her going up and down, and a lot of kids as well. If there's something you're going to take away from this, don't pretend to be dead in a swim pool, because one, it gives me a heart attack.
I would have fucking hated that.
And two, don't bob up and down, because people just like to bob up and down for the crack, and that's another sign that you're drowning. So don't do either of them two things. But this wee girl was doing it, and I was looking at her, and I was like, right. So what you do is, it's not like Baywatch, you just dramatically take off down the side and all slow motion and all. I'm sitting there with my Crocs on, shorts on, t-shirt on. I start to go down the side of the pool. The heart starts to go from about 60 beats, 70, 90, 120. It's working its way up, and I go down the side of the pool, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to get in here. Walkie-talkies out, jump in the pool, and like I can't even remember if I swam or anything. She was about halfway down that ramp, so I think I could just about stand, but I probably swam a bit over, you know, for the ultimate speed to get over there. Like,
yeah.
And then the first thing the manual teaches you all these different. So the first thing I did, I stand on my 2 feet, lift her from under 2 arms, and just turn around her, and the first thing she seen was my face here after near drowning, going, "Are you okay?" right in her face, and she's just like, and all this water came over my face. The pool alarm was going, everyone was like leaning over, stopping, and I got out, and I actually just felt like the king. I felt like I just saved a life. Sat her to the side. Her dad wasn't even in the water. Should have been with her, wasn't with her. And I goes, sat her out in the side. I was all flustered and all, and I just took off. Now, no thanks, no nothing.
No, that's normal though.
Gone.
Like, that's like anything we've done. Like we done in the fire, like you don't get a thanks. But I've just sort of like I've almost learned to accept that. Like I remember, like we were doing stuff. Like I remember one night we went to this woman's house, and it was an attic fire. So like we went in, and I went in with like the hose, and it was like a spotlight in her bathroom, and it was the tiniest fire ever. Like you'd swear it was like a lighter, you know, like that.
You could have passed on us.
But we'll go up in the attic and see. And when I went up in the attic, it was like fucking Dante's Inferno. It was fucking lit up.
No way.
It was pouring at the back of the roof. Like the roof, I sprayed it once, and it gapped the roof because the roof was already burning away. It was just all dark smoke, and when I gapped it, the whole roof just lit up. Like the whole roof just peeled off, and literally, I remember we stayed. We put out the fire about 3. Got the person, and then there was a child in the attic next door, and somebody of our team went in there because I was literally roasted. I was like fucking cooked, and I was sitting putting this out. And this time I was like at my heaviest, so I was like 14 something stone, and you should have seen the gravy pouring off me.
No way.
Oh, you'd swear I literally looked like I had a fit. And like this is fun. I'll tell you a story after this, but it's funny as fuck. Practically we stayed from like 3 a.m. to like, I think we finished shift at 8, so it was like 7:30. We stayed for like 5. We put like a temporary roof under our house for it, and it was like not like proper like fucking bricks. No, it was just like sheets.
The teach yard?
No, like you have to wing it.
Oh, right. So
we were winging it to give her a hand because she had no home insurance.
Oh, right.
So we're like, we'll put some sort of roof on you so you can sleep somewhere.
Yeah.
Because she was gonna have to sleep the thing, but we didn't want the rain fucking.
Yeah.
And like she was like, I have no home insurance, and we were like, there's the roof on. And she goes, all right. I was like,
probably still living in the house.
Nah, I'd say she probably gets sore, but I was sort of like, and the boys were like, come on. And I was sort of like, does she not say thanks?
Yeah.
And I was sort of like to them, and they were like, nah. And I was like, that's fucking metal, because it was like my first time ever doing something like really, really like good, and I was sort of like, that's fucking mad. And
I can't get over that.
No, that's.
I suppose you're going through so many emotions, but at the same time,
you probably can't struggle. It would just be my first thing, but I don't want to turn it on here and be like, please say thanks to me. But a case of, yeah, I think that's just natural whenever you do something.
I think places like that, would you have got a load of, in the fire service, would you have got like thank you letters or cards or anything like that? No?
Very rarely.
Really?
You'd be surprised.
I thought maybe when people calm down, they'd be like, drop you a wee box of chockies or something.
I used to think that as well. Now, you would actually be more inclined to get them off reps for like companies. You know, like Red Bull would drop you down like more cans, and somebody would drop in like.
Would they just randomly drop in?
They would just be like, oh, we were doing a promo across the road. Or like down the road, and they'd be like, we thought you could use these at night, and we'd be like, fuck, that sound, you know. And then the odd time people would drop in stuff, like if you've done stuff, don't get me wrong, there's some people that are really, really good, but like you're talking about like where if you like you'd hear people like proper saving lives or doing something where they're out all night helping somebody, and you're sort of like, holy fuck, you know. That's like whenever I came away from it, I was just like, if anything ever happens there, you have to. It's something where you're like, holy fuck, they're not. It's just a job where they're not paid enough, in my opinion. That's one of the main reasons why I left, because you're literally risking your life, and you're getting max, like if you're a firefighter, not a commander, like 30 G's, like max.
There's like, a lot of stuff you can do a lot less riskier for 30 G's, like
wild, like far like if the way I looked at it too, like, and this isn't like me being selfish, but like I go into the attic, I fall, I break a leg, and I can't walk again or hurt my spine, like this firefighter, my fitness, my coaching goes down the drain because nobody wants to go to the PT that's in shite shape.
I feel like a lot of them industries, not that they take advantage, but the adrenaline, it's almost like a drug for people. That's why people are so into it. Like,
like I absolutely
money doesn't really matter.
I think it also is the identity thing too. Like it's like whenever you drive by and you're in the fire engine, like we ones are like, Joe, and like I really struggled with that shift from firefighting. Like quitting firefighting was probably one of the hardest and toughest decisions of my life. And like people be like, oh, you're only in it for like 2 years, but the thing is, it's because it's a career, so it's long term. And I remember really struggling more so than anything, like the shift in identity, because like if you arrive to somebody and they're like, oh, what do you do? The first thing you say is your profession, and it sounds unreal when you're like firefighter, and then they're like, holy fuck, because I remember arriving at like customs in the States, and like they were literally searching like everything on everybody, and I went up and they were like occupation, I was like firefighter, and they were like they were like
salute you.
They didn't really believe, and they were like, and then like they were sort of like, and I just took out the card and just goes, go on ahead, like literally just like straight ahead, straight through, and you're sort of like, fuck. Whereas if I round up there and I goes PT, they'd be like, get the fuck to the back of the line, son.
You feel like Americans have a lot more respect for their firefighters just because of their culture and stuff than here. Like I feel like that would be a big thing, like especially with stuff that's happened over there. Like
like I've like when we were driving out, we get bottles and all from us, and you're just like,
really
flat out. Like whenever you're around certain areas at night, like you need to remember as well, you're putting out bonfires. So you're putting out something somebody's built, so you
probably made hard work.
Yeah, like you need to remember, for every good kid out there, there's some bad ones. But like I remember, like the window was like open this much, and like a bottle just bounced off, and I was like, holy fuck, and just doing windy window back up. I was like, no, not for me. But yeah, it's a weird job transition. It was one of the things where I just seen it, and I was like, do you know what, I'll apply for this. And I actually applied because my mate wanted to be a firefighter, and I said, do you know what, I'll go through the interview with you, and whenever I get in, like through the stuff, I'll give you the answers, because the questions and stuff, because I knew like my job wasn't actually like, I really want to be a firefighter. My job was like, I'm going to give you a hand, I'll go through it, and if I get through too, unreal, but if I get the questions and stuff, great. And then he actually fell out in one of the earlier stages, and I was like, well, fuck, I'm in this now, I'll just wiggle on through.
Keep going. Did you feel any sort of, it's probably a bit heavy, did you feel any sort of guilt leaving the fire service or any stuff like that? Like, because it's such a service related, people's sort of job.
Absolutely, like the identity shift, and then the idea like, are you chasing money, for example, rather than like what you're meant to do, and then you're feeling like almost guilty. But the thing is, that's where I struggled with, because I was like, does this align with my values and where I want to go? And then the first thing I always want is impact in people's lives, and I was like, yeah, it's great saving people, but I was like, I can probably prevent a load of suicides. I can help a lot of people change their lives rather than help them in their moment of the need. I can help them have a better life. I know that sounds stupid, and whenever I look at it, there'll be somebody else that'll be a better firefighter than me. I believe I'm a class coach, so like the thing is, what am I better at? And I believe coaching, so I think I can help more. And then my life, I want freedom. Like, I don't want to have to live here. I don't want to have to live somewhere else. I love the idea of being able to just go.
And obviously you're laying and working, taking anywhere, like
it's a laptop, so I can just go. So that fulfill that. And then the last thing, freedom also is money too. Like, the more money you have, the more you can play by your rules. Because if you make X amount per month, or you make 10 times X, you have a lot more freedom to go, I'm not going to work this month. Especially when you're doing your own thing. It's hard to beat, like turn around and go, like, you messaged me like last week of me going, what am I doing next Friday? Well, I'm doing it. Instead of going, fuck it, I'm working and this and that. And a lot of people will be like, that sounds great, but you also need to remember there's a flip side. You're also sole provider of your income. So if shit goes up, lad, and you don't get any clients, that's why I worked that's why I worked full time, like, as well. Like, you'll see a lot of people quit their job and go for their dream job, and this is something where I'm really harping on about it to people. And it's a case of people think like, do you know what, fuck my 9 to 5, I'm going to become a film producer, and they just quit their job and they start filming fucking pornos out their back. But no, you know what I mean, they just
sitting
go
on the couch saying me.
They go all in, and I'm all in for like going all in. But I think, like, if it really is what you want to do, I worked 4 12-hour shifts or whatever it was in the fire service, or whatever, like 2 days 2 nights, and I would have came home and done my 3 days of work. So I worked 7 days a week for a year. And then once the business got too big, then I goes, right, now it's time to go. This fire service actually slowing me down, and now's the time. When your side hustle makes you more money than your full time, you know, right, why the fuck would I stay?
I think this is a big thing, like, especially with, I would have watched a lot of Gary Vee and all back in the day, and as brilliant as some of them people are for motivation and giving you that drive to start something, realistically for most people, you can't quit your fire service job to become a PT with no sort of, or an online coach with no sort of client basis.
No, absolutely.
It's madness.
Join Matt, if anybody does know Gary Vee and knows, I don't know if you know this, but the boy who filmed this stuff called Tyler Babman.
I actually heard about you talking about this in your last podcast.
I met Tyler like in person, because he done like a
Is he from here?
No, he's from like the States or somewhere, but he flew over for like a social media thing.
Okay.
And I went down. The first thing I went over to him, and I was like, "Fuck, mate, like that you're pretty." I didn't say you're a big name, but I was like, "Fuck, this boy's fucking." And he turned around and was like during his talk, he was like, "You want success?" He was like, "People want to know what Gary Vee's like, and they think he's all grind." He was like, "He fucking is." He was like,
"Really?"
He goes like, he don't take a day off. Like, he was like, I worked 364 days a year for him for 3 years, and he goes, one day off, and after the day off, he was like, get the fuck back to work, because it's been a day. Like, he doesn't switch up, and like, he goes like, he almost thrives off that, like, the fact like nobody's working that much, but like, he's like, Gary Vee's also going to turn around. He's at this peak now where he can work 365 and almost get time off during that, because he's doing stage and all that there.
I feel like there's no amount of time he can put into growing it any further, if you know what I mean. Like, whatever, say he decides he wants to do 10 hours a day, if he puts it in 10 hours a day, he's probably growing the same rate as he's working 16 hours a day. How much more can you do? Like, how much more do you need?
I think it's quality over quantity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I work better in small bursts. So, like, I've been working flat out from this morning, but it doesn't mean I've been like, I've been up from like 7:30 doing stuff. And doesn't mean I've been working straight through. Like, I've taken an hour break for a walk. I work better in small bursts. I think you lose quality if you're doing just constant.
Yeah. Burnout.
Yeah, you're talking like, it's like this podcast went on for 4 hours. Like, some part of it's gonna be fucking shit.
Even though some people probably know it's been all shit.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I think it's one of them grind mentalities. And I think that's where I used to be. I used to love putting up the snaps, being like, work harder than me. Yeah. Like, I used to be constant for that. And the thing is, I think you grow out of that and you realize, like, I was probably getting actually less done then than I am now, and I just don't need to talk. Like, the people that are working harder don't need to say
this is what I've been such a big advocate for, and it's actually driven me insane. I was sort of telling you a wee bit before we came on here about the comedy and stuff like that, but there's only so many times you can talk about something, like, and this is why you've had so much success. You put up results.
Yeah.
No one's going to believe me that I'm funny until you see me on stage. It's physically impossible. I could tell you I am the funniest person. They're never going to believe it. I can put up the most motivational quotes if that's your thing. Doesn't mean you're a motivator. The reason I find that you've had so much success is because you put up results. How many photos do you put up yourself in your Instagram?
Fuck, like, if there's 3 posts, one's a result, and probably 2 are me, and that's every week.
But if we're looking, even if you look back even further to to your stage where you started getting a lot of traction. Up until that point, it was all
results. There was
and
nothing else.
The amount of coaches you see that put up stuff who probably
talking wank about calories all the fucking time,
dirt about things. It's like, show me your clients, show me how well your clients are doing, and that's where I come from. And it's the same thing, no matter what you're doing. If you're starting up your own business, show how good you're doing, and it'll all fall into place for you.
100%. I think like prime example is like people be like to me, like people used to turn around to me and they used to be like way bigger than me, like they still probably are, like but the thing is they used to turn around and be like, how are you so busy? And I goes, because nobody gives a fuck what shape you're in. They give a fuck what shape you turn Jack from down the road into, because they think you're a freak. Like people think I came out of the womb with fucking abs and all now, but the thing is people don't care where I am because they think I'm some sort of freak.
Yeah,
they'll assume like I am just trainer, I'm lifting 3 plates aside in the bench, you're a freak, you just came out that way and I'm not going to get there. Whereas if you show them Tom from down the road that they sort of know, that's now lost 50 pounds and has a fucking six pack and his girlfriend's fucking mint, the first thing they think is, fuck, I could do that. Do you know, they relate, and I think that relatability is also one of the factors why like my Instagram does well, is because people don't look at me and go, he's a complete lunatic. They sort of go, fuck, I can actually relate to where he's been, what he's like. And as you said, it's the results. Like that's why I never put up that I actually, like I think I put up twice maybe that I'm looking clients in the last 5 years I've been coaching. Otherwise I just put up results and just go, there's a result. Like people know I'm a coach. I'm not putting up results because it's fucking, I've been PTing out my back for free. Yeah, like you know the results there if you want to come get me. And that's the first thing. Like I be coaching boys, mentoring them, and the first thing I say to them is, stop putting up this shite content about pumps and all this science.
Checking
if you have no
how they're talking about,
if you have no results, because the first thing is nobody gives a fuck and you can't prove it because whatever you're doing is not working. Yeah, that's the reason why. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's like you could go and tell. I could tell everyone I've run a podcast. It's amazing. It's brilliant. But if you don't watch it and there's no evidence, podcasts are what the fuck. You know what I mean? You're just talking. It's the actual product that sells, like
it's completely different, and that's the thing. Like you look at it, like, and then the more results you have, the more credibility you have. Like if you go on my Instagram and there's literally, like, I put one on the right, so you scroll down there and it's literally just there, and it's been there for the last year. And every week I post, there's a new result. It's somebody different. It's not the same fucker, because you see these people who love using the same ones.
Yeah, they get one person that's done well, and it's every couple of weeks.
Yeah, whereas like I just be like no, and like I'm sort of a bit of a lunatic. So I'm always like, right now, like I have 1 or 2 transformations in my mind that are like the best ones, and now I always think like, who can I get way better than that? Like who can I make like look fake? Because like I have one boy that's on, and he's still on, Ryan McDonald, like, and like his photos look fake. Like they look like something you would see. Do you know whenever like you see the white person and it's like the after and he's black and he's ripped and he's 6'5"? Do you know, that's what his photos look.
Dramatic.
Yeah, like it's like whenever if you scroll from my feed, it's a way back, but like it's that sort of.
I've seen people on your Instagram that have literally, and I don't want to like your hole too much here because your head's big enough as it is, like
square too.
And I've seen people that literally look unrecognizable, like their face, everything changes, like.
It's because a lot of the transformations though aren't like, people of this real thing. It's 12 weeks. It's not 12 weeks. Ryan McDonald's was a year, and that's the best one.
Really?
The reason that's the best one is because it's a year. Yeah, and that's the reason he looks different. Is because it's not fucking 3 months. Like I always say, like you'll always hear me if you listen to like that podcast and stuff I do. I'll always relate everything to plumbing, but it's like if me and you goes, right, you know what? We're gonna go become sparks. You might be an okay spark in 3 months. You might not kill yourself. But give it a year and you put your heart and soul in it, you'd be alright. You do pretty good. And I relate that to like fitness. Like fitness, people assume that you should almost like come out of the womb and know everything. And like people go to me like, I'm so stupid, I don't know the calories and alcohol. I'm like, you're not fucking supposed to. It's a trade. It's like learn how to wire a plug. It's like I had a gardener on once, and like I was like, if you asked me to use a trimmer, I wouldn't have a fucking note. But the thing is, you would teach me, and I goes, that's exact same. It's the same as anything. There's a knack to it.
Yeah, you learn the skill as you go along.
Whereas people assume like you should go in the gym and just know. Like if I teach somebody how to curl, that person should already know how to curl. No, they shouldn't, because this is a trade, and I think that's sort of where it does fall down as well. You know, it's just something different.
Tell me this. See, obviously online coaching's become massive over the last couple of years. Okay.
Yeah. Shoot.
So online coaching's become massive. Do you think PTs provide the same quality of service, or is there a need for PTs?
Good question. Like, yeah, I do think that like people will be like, first thing online coaches love saying is PT's dead, come to me. But that's not what I'm like. I definitely think there's a real good thing about PT, and like if you ask me what's the benefits of PT, like if you train with me on, right, you're going to train hard. You're going to train a lot fucking harder if I'm in your on the session. So you will train harder, so you're going to grow probably more tissue. Some people will train hard anyway. Yeah, some people will need the extra push. Like for example, I have one client now, and I mean every single day he has to send me every single exercise he trained, because his form is just not good and he's not growing, right? And the main reason he's not growing is because his form's up. But the thing is, see, trying to get form from really, really poor to good just with voice notes and talking and like I have videos of me doing the exercise. It's a lot tougher than me standing beside you and going, this is what's wrong. I'm trying to draw a diagram. So I do feel like in-person PT is something that won't die. I just feel like I feel like for me to go to it, just for example, if that's what you're thinking, I would charge too much. I would want too much.
I think that in my opinion, like for anyone who doesn't know, I actually have a gym level 2 qualification, which is hilarious how easy it is. I think one of the questions on the test was how many fruit and veg did you do today? And there's a boy sitting beside me who actually copied my answer, who's actually working as a thing. So, you know what I mean? So it just shows you, like, if you're going to compare here, I am on the lowest scale you can of qualification, and obviously you're on probably the higher end.
Not even that, like my qualification.
Well, in comparison to most people, probably, yeah. But the point I was trying to make is, I think really, and my girlfriend's sick listening to this because she's talking about going to PTs and stuff. I think the real niche PTs are missing out on is, and it'd be a real good turnover, is a 6-week, because my job is basically don't die in the gym. When you're coming to me, I give you a wee bit of a program, but it's just basically how not to die. I'm not going to get you into the shape you're getting people into. I think a real good place for PTs to do would be courses on how to lift correctly, and I think that's the real best way of PT.
Like an execution course,
basically. Yeah. So it's like, it's strength and conditioning. Say, I don't know, exercise just with barbells, and then you focus on curls for a couple of weeks instead of, because I think a lot of PTs that I've seen throughout the years in gym, it's like every day they're going to a new piece of apparatus almost, and they don't really stick to the same thing. If I could master maybe 10 pieces of equipment over 10 weeks, I'll be pretty happy with that investment. And then I would feel the likes of a go to an online coach, or go to them. I'll go to their online coaching, if you know what I mean.
You see, like what I've tried to cover this because I know exactly what you mean. Like I try and go through, like, whenever I think of like my coaching and I go through the client journey, I always go through like from where I started at 15. I don't think like 18, 19, where, because the first thing I think is, if I was 15, I wouldn't be able to afford me.
Yeah.
So that's not fair. So the first thing I did, I would create something cheaper, so I have my academy option. But now I'm actually trying to create something that I could have bought when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I'm writing a book on, like, it's like Be Your Own Coach.
Okay.
So if you can't afford me, you can still get everything I know. You'll just have to do it yourself without me doing it, because that's how it works. Do you know what I mean? It's something that I wish I fucking had. Like, I wish I had that book. So the thing is, on that, like, I'm going to include my exercise library, so you'll get all the movements.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to learn through certain, like, at least you'll be able to see what's proper form, rather than go on YouTube and 3 people do something different and you're not sure. But I know exactly what you mean. I think execution is something where, like, people get caught up on and they're not sure. Like, there's this whole thing about progressive overload. You know, where you need to be lifting like the most weight ever. Now I'm literally stuck to this couch. I'm not going to be able to move. But like this whole thing about more weight, and you'll see me lift. But the thing is, you can't grow what you can't feel. And as you said, like, there's 1,000,001 ways to do like a dumbbell row or like a shoulder press, and it's knowing the small tweaks that bring it from okay to good. Now I know what you mean. There's definitely a niche there, and I think there's actually a niche for like if you talk, like, I know what you mean. Like, almost like if you sign up to a gym and every 10 weeks they done like a 3-week class, but it wasn't like, do you know what it is? I've been to seminars, and it's the way they teach the seminars that are always good, but the problem is they're teaching PTs and the PTs aren't teaching it down. So like whenever I got taught like how to leg press, or say for example, let's take a different movement that's easier. For example, say I got taught the dumbbell press for chest, let's take that. Like they bring one person and do it, and 15 years watch, and the person teaches them from scratch. And fair enough, not everybody gets a go, but you all get to see what that does wrong, where he should be going, and then how to, like, for example, like, people think like you need to touch your chest with a barbell. You do not need to touch your chest with a barbell, because your range will be complete. The best way to judge that is, like, you retract your scapula, you put your hands out, you close your eyes, and you come back. And there's a stage when you come back and you don't feel it in your chest anymore. You start feeling it in, like, your shoulder. That's you out of range. But the thing is, there's a whole thing, touch your chest, bro. Joe, and like, learning stuff like that, like, you might be able to only get to here, but that's perfect, because that's still you fully stretched. That's you. Whereas somebody else actually might need to probably go past their chest, but it's almost trying to educate people on that so they can do that themselves. And I think it's just,
I think the problem with a lot of stuff is, again, it goes back to the internet's brilliant, but there's a lot of bad stuff out there. Like, and you can't. I just think you can't generalize fitness. Really, like, there's no the right way for you to do, as you said, bench press or dumbbell. Is completely different from how to do it. Like, I'm 6 foot. Like, it's going to be completely different. Like, yeah.
Prime example. I have 2 losses that started this month, and like, people will be like, "This is overkill, and there's no need. You need to simplify it." But one's leg is like, this sounds ridiculous, but like, do you know where your tibia and fibia, and then you've got like your femur. Like, one's femur is really long compared to the other side, and then the opposite way for the other loss. So like, For
The
example,
same girl or the two different girls?
different girls.
Oh, right.
Different girls. She's not got like one really long leg, but a case of one knee here, but not like massively, but just slightly different. So the one who's got like a longer like femur will naturally find it easier to break at the hips because that's longer.
Okay.
Whereas the one with the longer, I need to almost go over my biomechanics here. The one with the longer tibia and fibula will find that she can work quads better. So then you almost need to be like, right, well, that person's more inclined to develop quads easier. So you need to focus on making sure they feel their glutes. And it's small things like that I'm like, right, that's why I get paid better than most PTs.
I was going to say, that's why you come to me in the gym, you're not going to get a whole lot. Whereas you...
But yeah, but it's a case of, it's like everything. It's just one of them things where it's a wee bit different. And I think it's almost a case of like, that's why I always go with this whole thing of like, if you just pay if you pay a plumber once to fix the sink, at least it's fucking fixed. If you go fucking trying to fix it yourself, like I've done this myself in like that house I bought, and like I fucked it up and then had to ring the plumber. And the plumber's like, in the first place, because this is going to be dear now
worse,
because you fucked it. So it's like when people dat and then come to me after the dat and be like, I didn't lose all the weight, I'm like, well, now you're going to have to build the calories up to recut. So now we're going to have to do 12 weeks out and 12 weeks in. So you're just like, you've added money on for yourself.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing as well, because as we said, it is a results driven business and people don't want to sit there for 5 weeks going, moving no weight. It is a
pressure,
thing.
100%.
But I do think at the same time, there's a lot of people, especially people that get are starting a gym, and obviously people's anxieties going into the gym it's insane. Whenever you first start a gym, like your anxiety in the gym is massive. But if someone could sit you down and go, here's how to, even if you get yourself in the mindset of it's not going to make you look like an idiot, because that's what everyone's worried about.
That's usually people who are afraid of being filmed.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the first thing I say like to my clients is like, I'm like, 90% of the people in the gym don't have a fucking note. And the problem is, the only reason you don't know that is because you don't think you're a level above. But I goes, the fact you're actually learning puts you a level above them, because I goes, they already think they're right. And I goes, like, everything I do, I'm sort of like, I still question it. I'm like, could this be set up better? Could I be feeling this better? And that shows that you're almost like, do you ever see that thing of like, it's like I forget what the model is called, but it shows you like you're an amateur and then you think you're an expert, and then after a couple of months you realize like you actually know absolutely not, and then you slowly become a real expert. Like that's the way that model goes. It's a wee bit odd, I forget what it's called, but that's sort of the way that is, an extent. Is fitness what you wanted to go over, or did you want to go back down to love?
Nah, I'm done. Just talked out all the love. No, there's one more thing I was going to say about the gym there. It was to do with your last podcast. Well, I've done my homework.
You've listened to me and Mickey talk shit.
Good. Yeah,
I've lost arguments.
I've lost brain cells, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just this has actually been pretty intense. Whereas
it actually is a good podcast for people that are interested. And obviously, like, I'm not going to have you here every week, so it was good having you on. But it actually is a good podcast because you hit individual topics. Yeah, you sometimes go off, but that's what podcasting is. That's what you
ramble's
do.
Better.
But one thing you were talking about, what was your last topic? It was like gym
training misconceptions.
Training misconceptions.
Don't know what that word means.
Yeah,
buddy.
Right. So like people that go into the gym and they think this is how things are, and they think they know stuff. For people, I'm more so on the scene of people that don't know what they're doing and people are fresh into the gym. That's more so what I can relate to. But for people that go in, their main problem seems to be people looking at them.
Yeah,
right? And that's a huge misconception I think people have.
Do you think
you look at people in the gym and go, look at that idiot over there?
Oh, like at me in general? No.
Or like, just people in general, or would you do it?
Like, would I assess, like, I assess form all the time on people in the gym. Like, but I don't go over and be like, that's wrong, or be like, but like if I'm, like, in between my sets, if I have 2 minutes and I'm sitting, like, say, on the bench press, and there's a boy in front of me doing lateral raises, it's like almost instinctively built into me to just go, just look at it and just be like right or wrong in my head, and just think like, because then it's almost like me assessing it, because do you know what happens all the time with me now? The person just stops and turns around to me and goes, does that look right? Like they almost all the time I get asked I be sitting in the gym in between my rest periods and I have a timer, I have a stopwatch on my phone to literally say fuck off, there's 2 timers here, and people will come over to me and they're like, do you know what the crack is with Anavar? And I'm like, so you want to know about roids in between my rest time? And I'm like, there's 30 seconds left. And I'm like, it's going to be too short. And he goes, come on, man, answer it real quick. And I'm like, in fucking 20 seconds. And I just be like,
hit the Q&As.
You're not, I'm like, you're not wise. And then it's people that are like 17 and you're like, they're going, like if you go into
young for that sort of carrying on.
Mate, you see it all the time. Like, and you can tell it a mile off, because these are people who, like, unlike me, you'll see me like bulk and cut, but you'll see these boys like blow up and then shrink down. Like, because it's all water weight from the gear, like D-ball and stuff. But a case of like I getting back to the question of like assess it, like I don't think I'm judgmental would be the word if that's sort of where we're at. But
you're not gonna laugh at someone.
No, fuck, never, because if you think about what I've done in the gym, like, holy fuck.
As I said, you started.
Like whenever
you did not always be Tony who knew what you were literally chicken goose on Bean Man, like.
No, like, exactly, 100%. And then the thing is as well, like, I've went to courses and, like, I'm getting taught stuff about, like, where, for example, like for anybody that's listening to this, like, do you ever see the wee close grip in the gym? You do, like, a close grip pull down with, like I got told by a mentor, like, once, or by a coach me, like, why the fuck would you use that? That doesn't make sense. But it's almost the way he taught it made me feel like a dickhead. That's not the way to do it. But the thing is, knowing that in itself, I feel like a beginner again. I think always, like, you'll always be sort of a beginner in the gym, because you're really going to only learn over time, and different things work for different people on feel and stuff. But, like, I do think, like, there is this real atmosphere, especially for females, because I ask males to film their sets. They do it from time to time. Females, it's a fucking nightmare, and it takes a real confident lass, in my opinion, to film herself. Because the first thing they say is, I feel like a dick, and the first thing I turn around them and say is, would you rather feel like a dick now and in 6 months have a cracking set of glutes because you've done everything right, or not film it and me turn around 6 months and goes, there's no glutes, that's not my fault because you've been doing everything wrong, because I can't see it. I can't, like, that's the reason the PT in person's nice, because there's not that. Like, I've had somebody turn around to a client recently and call him a gimp because he was filming himself. Do you know what he's saying to me?
Yeah.
So the first thing I did whenever I went in the gym was I just said to him, I was like, do us a favour, don't call him again for filming himself, because I fucking said it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, your form's fucking shocking anyway, you could use a video. And then the person's standing there going, and I'm sort of going, he's bigger than me and all, but I was like, there's no, that sort of dickhead is what people expect. Everybody be like, that's the first time in, like, 4 years I've
What's
ever
that, 1%, 2% of people? Like?
If even, and that's the first time in 4 years I've ever heard anybody say something like that. And I think it is that idea, like, when you're doing a set, but see what majority of people in the gym are doing, if you really look at them, they're looking in the mirrors at themselves. That's what 90%, that's what I'm doing. That's what you're looking at your own form, and if you're really training hard, you'll not really be able to monitor sets, because you should be fucked. Like, 2 minutes rest, I'd be lying on the ground a hip after a set of Kimby bar squats, and it's just one of them things where I know what you mean. It is that judgmental walk in, and that, like, anxiety almost. Like, fuck, I'm gonna go in here and end up and you've been framed. That doesn't happen though. And like, if anybody would end up, and it would have been me. Like, I used to do these things where I would do, like, jump on a pull-up bar and then put my feet way up in the air and do, like, windshield wipers and think I was the boy. And, like, I've had, like, wrist straps before where I've been doing, them windshield wipers where your feet are up in the air. And I had the wrist strap on, the wrist strap broke, and I went like, and then, like, been stuck with my arm wrapped like that. No, so literally hanging there like that. It's in gym tech, and I'm literally hanging there for maybe, like, I'd say 20 or 30 seconds, and then somebody came over and gave me, like, a footy up.
No way.
Because I was literally, if it had been around my neck, I would have died. I would have been hung. But it's a case of, like, people assume, like, that. But the first thing that person goes, he was like that. He was like, what was that? But the thing is, like, everybody else didn't see it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
People didn't be like, holy fuck, Joe. And it's not like something that comes back to haunt me, thank fuck.
I remember, like, whenever I first got into fitness, I think it was like 17 or so, and we were just doing, like, bench press, squats. It was like strength and conditioning, football training, and I signed up for gym tech, and I would have went up to that top room, which at the time I originally found quite intimidating, and you probably did, because there was quite a
they're all fucking huge,
big boys up there, like, and I would have went over that. For some reason, it didn't bother me. It just goes back to the getting on stage thing. It never bothered me. I went in, put on, I think I was benching at the start 25 kgs with bar, 2.5 to either side, and would have got the biggest boy in the gym to go, will you spot me here for 2 seconds? And he goes, no bar.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
They're not going to go, fuck off.
I usually find the friendly, like, if you go into the gym and you look for, like, the person who looks angriest, it's probably me, right? But the person who's actually probably going to give you the most help is probably going to be me if you ask me. The first thing I'll say to you is, if you need a spot or something, straight away I'll hop in. But the first thing I always turn around to people and I say is, if you need actually me to go over anything, even if you're not a client, and you ask me, I'll go over it after my session with you.
Yeah.
Like, you might have to wait 20 minutes till I'm done, but once I'm done, I'll stay for I've stayed for an hour before people drill and stuff, because I'm like, I wish somebody done that with me. And I always think, what would I have liked? Because that's the one thing I always ripping about, because it's taken me so long to get to my shape now, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And I think, like, if I had somebody in my corner, or even somebody I could have went to, it would have sped things up so quickly, and I would have been so much more confident, not even in the gym, but in my life and everything going on, if somebody had to just give me a wee bit of, like, that's right and that's wrong.
Yeah.
There's none of that. And that's the reason why, like, whenever somebody joins my coaching now, I'm always like, there's so much more than that to it. It's something that, not that I fucking hate the words, like, but two brains working something out together is a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm doing it in the daily with, like, say 50 or 60 people, it's just a lot handier. And now I'm paying boys like D Martini, Phil Graham, people who are really smart. So I'm getting information of them, and then I can give it down because I'm learning off them. So it's stuff like that. But that's really why. I don't know what people are going to take away from this.
I hope they just.
How long is that?
This is going on. I think we're near coming up to an hour, so we'll start to wrap her up here. But
people are going to be asleep.
I think what people hopefully take away from this is that you go to a gym. A lot of people they're in their heads. The hardest part is getting into the gym for most people.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, and they're afraid they're going to do something wrong. There's people there to help you. Like, as I said, the gym that I worked in, if you ever come up to any of us at the front desk, we're more than happy to show you. We can show you. We're not going to show you how to get shredded in 12 weeks, like, but we'll be able to show you how to use a machine properly, which is for a lot of people.
That's all you need.
Yeah, as a start,
confidence,
as a start, it's somewhere to base yourself off of. So hopefully people just get the gist from that. Like, don't be shy. Like, go up to the gym, go up to whoever. Like, especially people that work there, because that's their job.
I think it's similar enough as well to like whenever you're like going in, it's that whole hype building. But if you're working out properly, you probably forget about it in 2 minutes. It's just that initial getting in and getting started. I think it's just going.
The other part of this question was, and you can answer this in 2 seconds because I know the answer probably. Have you ever seen someone that's using, say, a barbell, and they've got, say it was me, the 2.5s on either side, and you're sitting staring at them, intimidating, and being like, get off that because I want to use it for my fucking 100 kg.
No, not really. Like that, I would be a wee bit annoyed
if they were taking ages.
Somebody took the cable machine in between me going to the toilet the other day. Like, and I just turned around and was like, I was in there.
That's just bad adequate though.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I have no time for bad manners. But like, if somebody's on something, no way.
If they're doing their thing, just because they're not lifting heavy doesn't mean you want to start
away. It doesn't matter. It's like if you come into the shop and you're standing in front of me. Doesn't matter. You're standing in front of me. It's your turn. It's not mine. If you have to spend 15 minutes at the till fucking about, you get to spend 15 minutes.
But just because you lift more weight doesn't mean you're entitled to the bar. Like,
no, majority of people who lift more weight are wankers. That's the reason the gym's demonized, is because majority of people like me grunt and make an intimidating place. But I'm not grunting to go, oh, look at me and look how aggressive I am. I'm grunting because the only reason I do grunt is actually because if I don't grunt, I grind my teeth, and the dentist has told me, please fucking stop that. So like, I bought a mouth guard. No, I wear a mouth guard sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, and like they're like 2 wee bits that go in the back. I don't really
stop them grinding. Like,
yeah, exactly. So like, that's why I've stopped grunting as much now. But the thing is, that's why it sort of does come across like that, and I think it's almost like intimidating. Like, if I'm asking somebody like how many sets you got left, it's not like hurry the fuck up. It's just so I know whether to do my sets or should I go on to another machine. Like, I'm not going how many sets you got left. Oh, none. Right, fuck off. It's not like that. And I think that people in general, gym wise, are sort of thought to be arseholes to an extent, but it's just that it's meatheads. You know what I mean? You assume people are meat, but like, I'm generally quite a meathead, but funny. Do you know what I mean? I'm chill.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else there? Like,
we'll wrap it up. I know we're rambling on about a load of random stuff there, but I really appreciate the time and coming out.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on, sir.
I'd love to have you back anytime if you ever get a free minute again. Maybe not the next week, but further down the line.
Yeah,
no, it's great having a chat. Tell all your influencer friends that I'm great.
I'm not an influencer. I fucking hate that.
But yeah, thanks so much everyone for having listened. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a wee review, leave a wee like, and follow if you're new. So thanks. We'll see you all again in the next one.